Okay.
Five, four, three, two, one, zero, ignition, liftoff.
Welcome, guys. Welcome to another Filmmaking Times Live. Today I got a guest, Jaylin Pressley. Is a filmmaker. Well, maybe I'll let you just introduce yourself.
Yeah, Jaylin Pressley, filmmaker from the Bronx.
From the Bronx. That's from the streets
There you
of
go.
the Bronx. So today's show is going to be talking just about, we can chit chat about, the state of the film industry. You're interested because for those of you who don't know, we've been working together. We've worked on two films now,
projects,
right?
yeah.
And
we had some mishaps.
Yeah. Well, I also worked. No, you didn't work on that one. It was one film through your friend, right? That's how we met.
Oh yeah.
That I worked on, but no,
Oliver.
Were you involved in that project?
No, we just had the same class.
Oh, okay. That's how it was. Okay. So we worked on basically two short films, and are those your two first?
Yeah.
Because I did see you did a web series before, right?
Yeah. I did a web series. That was my thesis project at Hunter College. Was my short film was about 6 minutes long.
Okay.
And then that's how we met after that. So.
Okay. Yeah. So he's basically new in the film industry, and I kind of wanted to get a perspective of somebody who's just starting out. What's your ultimate goal then? What do you want to do?
Ultimately, I just want to shoot some features, man. I just always told myself I don't really care about accolades or anything else. I just got into filmmaking just to tell stories. So as long as I could just tell stories in the future, I could just show my daughter, your dad made movies, and so it seems pretty cool to me. That's all I really want to do.
Is there like particular type of stories, or maybe is it just like you want to entertain people? Or?
Well, mostly dramas. I love real stories about real people because I feel those, like the simple stories tell the best stories to me. So anything that's real simple, it could be somebody's dad died and they're trying to learn how to recover on how to live their life, or something simple because everybody has their like flaws and their mishaps in life. So I just love simple stories. Like I love a simple drama for an hour and a half you could just watch and it's just a good story.
Yeah. This is one of the films here that we're showing this is the recent one that we worked on. I think very, very cool story. And like you said, it has some interesting drama in it.
With some super talented people. It's Arsenio there, Francisco, super talented young actors, man. I was super fortunate just to find both of them.
I guess my first question would be, when is it that you decided to kind of, I want to get into filmmaking, I want to make films?
Well, I actually wanted to make films. So growing up as a kid, my parents would always take me to the movie theaters like every Saturday or Sunday. That would always be a thing. Also with my grandfather. And so my grandfather, every Saturday, we would go down to Harlem to Magic Johnson Theater and watch movies. And so as a kid, I always was fascinated with movies. Mm-hmm. But, as you go to high school and your parents say, okay, it's time to go to college. What do you want to do? And you're like, oh, crap, I don't know what I want to study. And so my senior year, we did this like senior project in high school. You go around and record all the students and say, what do you want to be 10 years from now? The whole cliche, the American dream, 2 kids, whatever the case may be. And so my thing was like, I did the video with this kid named... his name was Kevin. Okay. And so we was like, let's do it together because we both loved movies at the time. We always talk about movies and stuff. And so, I was like, let's do it. And so we did it. And I was like, this would be kind of cool to like pursue. And so after that, I was like, I'm going to go to this school and study film. And ever since then, I just didn't look back. I said, this was my passion. I just love, again, just telling stories.
Okay. So it wasn't like you were like, okay, I want to have my name up there on the big screen.
No, I never did it for that.
Or I want to be the director. You just wanted to be...
Tell stories.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for example, if it was a question of let's say, I don't know, somebody offered you a job, let's say writing a script for a film right now, would you take it?
Yeah. One, they would have to depend on what the story is, because I feel like, especially for a writer, I think you could relate to this too more so, is like, you can't just write about any genre. Like if you have a particular genre, unless you're like really like Aaron Sorkin could probably write Terminator 10 at this point because he's so talented. But for me, myself, it'd just be like, if it's like a drama, maybe I would love to get into comedy. I find comedy like maybe the most hardest genre because it's all about like timing and
Yeah,
particular jokes. But if it was like a drama, I would 100%. I would love to sit down and just be in the writer's room and just chop shop.
See, for me though, I would want to like, not that I think I'm great at any of the genres, but I like to just experiment. So if I like, I've gotten opportunities to do like for whether it's like these YouTube collabs or things like that where basically, you know, people will be like, I remember like first time somebody said, hey, you know, we should do this funny thing. And I've never done funny. And I was like, I don't know if I can do it. And yeah, but I kind of took it as a challenge. So like, you know, I wasn't acting in it, thank God. But I actually, no, I did have a cameo and that other thing. But it was me actually writing the script.
Okay.
And turned out like, you know, it's got like several million views now on YouTube. So I guess people like it.
Yeah.
But to me, it's more like a challenge. So like I've done action, I've done horror, I've done like I'm saying as the one creating the stories. I haven't done that much drama, I guess, as a director. Maybe it's kind of, I don't know, I just kind of shy away from drama in my life in general. The two films that we worked on, it's drama.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, all three projects I've ever done was all drama. So my first short was about this girl who gets pregnant and wants to get an abortion. And you had Strays where it was this girl comes home and her parents have been deported. And the rest of us, what we just did was just a teenager whose demise ends up him just going down the wrong path. And so which I think, again, goes back to everything. Everybody has their struggle in life. So everybody's struggle is different.
Yeah.
It's just trying to juggle what your struggle is in life. And that's what all my stories try to manipulate, is trying to juggle life and how do you deal with these struggles.
Mm-hmm. Good point. So if, for example, if you had any personal experiences with something really funny happening, would you ever then...
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
100%. That's what I would love to get into a comedy. Like, I think every kid, I'm only 25, guys. So I think probably from like my generation, love American Pie. I don't know if you ever saw American Pie.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Slapstick, things like that.
Yeah.
Comedies like, or one of my favorite movies ever is Superbad.
So, that was hilarious.
It's hilarious. So things
it's like
that.
it's like those kind of dumb stories that are
exactly.
You can just sit back, relax,
and
and
just watch it at any point in time over and over and over again. So and that's why so simple things like that, which I would love to work on stories like that where I think it would be hilarious. And we all have funny stories that we don't like to share, but we know deep down, that would make a funny movie one day. And so I would love to do that.
For me, it's actually a lot of times I just hear like some like people tell me a joke or sometimes a story from their life that's funny, and I'm like, man, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
And I've actually, one of my short films, I kind of had some success in film festivals. That's kind of how it started. It was a joke somebody told me, and I was like, I could make this into a film.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, in the end, people were like, giving me credit, like, wow, it's a hilarious story. And I was like, it literally was a joke,
That's
and
great.
it was a funny joke. So.
Yeah.
Let's see also here what people are saying here. By the way, those of you who are joining us, basically let us know what's happening, where you joining us from, and if you have any questions for Jaylin here. I'm gonna try to get to those questions now. Maybe the next thing I'll kind of get to quickly is here. I'm kind of getting a little lost here with everything that I have on the screen. But yeah, basically, maybe first let's get a quick message here from our sponsor. So I'll just quickly get that out of the way. We can continue with the show. So today's sponsor is a company that makes modems. They actually did the specific modem. It's a RX4 1500, or it's a router. And this router actually uses Wi-Fi 6, which lets you get super fast speeds. And with Wi-Fi 6, in case you didn't know, you can actually get speeds up to 300 megabits per second and 2.4 gigahertz band, and on up to 1200 megabits on 5 gigahertz band, which this router can do both. Also, if you're doing the latest, like any online gaming services with, for example, Google Stadia, or maybe video streaming 4K and even 8K, some people now stream, then you definitely want to get this latest of the Wi-Fi router technology. So check out the RX4 1500 router. Has, as you can see, these 4 antennas, which give it that high performance. Make sure that you're not going to have any dead spots anywhere in your house. Of course, if you want to also make sure whatever devices you're using with the Wi-Fi 6 router technology have to support it. So like the new phones like Samsung Galaxy S10 or iPhone 11 are going to support it. And also, pretty much all of the new next generation of laptops and phones should be supporting it. But either way, if you want to stay ahead of the curve and basically, make sure that you're ready for the future, then give this new router a try. So as always, links are in the description of this video. Anyways, getting back to the show. So how did you? So once you decided, okay, I'm going to be a director, right? I want to tell stories. What was the first step? Like, is there something you
for
read?
me, I
or-
went to I went to Sullivan County Community College, which is a 2-year school upstate, like in Monticello, New York.
Okay.
They didn't have a film. So if you want to be a filmmaker, you want to go to school. In high school, you should probably have good grades. So my grades wasn't the best to try to pick and choose where I wanted to go to school at. So I probably graduated high school with like a 2.6 or 2.7, not very good. But I graduated college with a 3.7, so I picked it all the way up. But so I chose Sullivan didn't have a film program, but they had a media program. So their media program was constantly us being creative. So the first semester we would do radio. Then the second semester we would do I believe we did documentaries. And so that's where I really got my first time. I actually got to touch a camera and do a documentary, which I did on my aunt, because at the time, so when I grew up, my aunt wasn't a track athlete, so she ran the 2004 Olympics. So I said, I could tell a great story about my aunt, how she was an Olympian from the Bronx, and go from there. And so I did that, and that's when I really knew, okay, I could actually tell a story from point A to point B to point C, and I think I'm pretty good at it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to run with this. And then after that, just continued to go from there. And it's just, I guess if you say resiliency, just wanted to just constantly tell stories.
So would you say that that it's necessary as a filmmaker, like these days, if you want to start, I guess, telling stories, to go to film school or I guess media school?
Well, I found it such a hard question because, there's some filmmakers who say, oh, you don't need film school. I didn't go to film school. I was this, and that. Then there's some who go.
Like me. Tom
is a master of all trades. So Tom is amazing. But people like me, I went to Hunter, and I believe Hunter was one of the best decisions I ever made, because to me, if you want to be a filmmaker, if you don't go to film school, I think it's harder to find a group of people who want to get into film, as opposed to going to a school studying film. You're around people who all want to do the same thing as you do. And so me going to Hunter, the main thing I loved about Hunter was Professor Kaplan. I took a screenwriting class. And so my first semester there, we had to do 10 pages. Every Thursday we'd do 10 pages. And that simulates you writing your first script or whatever. And so in Hunter, I did two scripts at Hunter, or three really, full-length scripts, and they never amounted to anything other than being on my desktop and every now and then look at it. But just being in a screenwriter's room, getting an opinion on your script and having people give you this advice and that advice, I think it's hard to get that if you don't go to film school, as opposed to going to film school and just being in that circle, that type of energy. But that's just me. Everybody's different, I guess.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I'll tell you that definitely for me, it wasn't necessary to go to film school, I guess, because, one, it's not that I didn't want to. I didn't want to go to film school, but for me, actually, I didn't get into film school. And it wasn't so much, well, at least as they told me, actually, it wasn't even film school, it was animation school. I kind of started doing animation.
Okay, yeah, I remember you saying it before.
Yeah, and I wanted to get into it, but basically I got turned out simply as they said, we love your portfolio, but we're basically too many submissions, so apply next year. And in my case, I kind of was very actually sad. I thought, like, okay, that's it.
It's not for me.
Yeah, and I remember because I used to work with my dad. My dad had a plumbing company, and he was like, "Yep, back to cleaning toilets." Yeah. So I was like, "Oh man, I don't want to do that." But in the end, it was my brother actually who said, "You know what? Just go apply for jobs. Like, why are you waiting?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? Like, I have no experience." Yeah. He goes, "Just figure out what it is, I think." And that's what I did. So that's how I got my job in the animation industry without having to go to animation school or film school. But I will admit that very quickly I basically realized that one thing I was missing, which I guess I kind of made up for it by meeting people while I was actually working at the different companies, but people who later on joined, for example, like even the animation company where I got my first job, I realized that they had a big network already of people that they met from school.
Yeah.
And they already did really cool independent projects because of those people, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like for me, I remember at that time I was doing animation, and then a few years later I was like, oh, I want to get into feature films or just short films. And I wanted to do little projects. It was hard for me to convince my friends who were working to
take their time out and help you. Yeah.
And to do it for free.
Yeah, but that's what I was going back to. Like, if I would have never went to Hunter and did my thesis project, I would have never met you, because you saw my work was with my first short film that I did.
Yeah.
So if I would never did that, I would have never met you, and probably would never did my other 2 short films. So it's just all going to film school to me. It just helps because, like you said, You get people around you who want to do what you want to do. You don't have to ask your friends or who just think, oh, this might be a waste of time, or oh, I have to do this for free. Like, oh, they don't understand how hard it is to.
It's easier
be a
to put
filmmaker.
projects without money, I
exactly,
guess, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Because you have other people who are just like, as
Exactly.
crazy and as blind, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it doesn't matter, even if I go bankrupt, I want to do it.
Exactly.
But, yeah. All right, so then you decided, okay, then you went to film school, you got out of film school. Now, how is it now that you've been out of film school?
It's a little rough, but it's I think it's all about what you make of it, because there's some people who go to film school and 10 years later they still haven't done anything, and then there's some people who graduate from USC and then they have a job lined up and they do a film and a short film, and next thing you know they blow up. So I think it's all about how you try to just stay positive and trust in yourself is the major thing, and always just stay creative. Everybody's path is different. So with me, I just always try to, they're always reading a script, always thinking about the script, or always going to somebody and say, hey, do you think this would make a good story about, it's just doing small things to where you could stay creative, and then eventually something will fall in place. Like for me, it took me about, after I graduated from Hunter, it took me about a year to get into the industry, into the locations department. So for everybody, it's different. And at the end of the day, it's true what they say with entertainment, especially in film. You gotta know somebody. You can't just apply to a place and get it. It's an exclusive network for some reason. You really have to know somebody. And I was fortunate enough to meet somebody that knew somebody.
Oh, okay. But you're saying what, just to get any job in the industry, or
I believe that. Yeah, I think you have to know somebody, especially you don't want to work.
Either that, or you have to have balls.
On
the previous show, I had the guest, the Danny Rowan director from South America, and he was saying his first time he got a job is because he literally, somebody told him they were looking for, I think like I don't know, somebody to like roll cables, whatever, like the most basic job on the set. Yeah, and he went and he said that he just showed up and he's like, yeah, I want to get a job. And then they told him what the job is. And he's like, no, I want to be the director. And he's like, they're like, I can't be a director.
Praising guy.
Yeah, but he ended up getting an AD job, which led to him directing, which is interesting because he was there. And they even said, like, we don't even have an opening for an AD. He's like, don't worry, I'll take it. I don't charge, So sometimes I think, I think sometimes it takes balls to just be like, okay, you're going to step into it. But yeah, I think one big misconception that people get is there's maybe a difference when it comes to doing music videos, to doing films, to doing like, people who do like or even online content now. With films, I think that's the only area of filmmaking where you literally are not going to get at least I've never heard of anybody getting a phone call being like, hey, we're looking for a director to do this. No. Unless you, even big people in the industry don't get that. You used to always have to pitch projects and always think. So let's say if you're like, that said, no, I want to just make films. What's the next step then? Like, because you've made 2 films now, and the first film, for those of you who don't know, actually has its first bit of success. It was screened, it received well at film festivals.
Yeah, very well. It's
looks like are you going to be distributing it?
We're still working on getting distribution now with somebody. I don't want to really say all that yet, but yeah, hopefully down the pipeline within 2020 we get distribution. And like I said, I've just been really fortunate with.
But you've had some interest already, right?
Definitely. So,
and it's your first film.
So So it's funny how some things work out, especially when in the film festival circle. You wouldn't think that somebody would say, "Oh, your film is this," and you get an email, "Oh, we want to potentially get distribution." It's like that stuff like that really happens, and so I was fortunate to have that encounter, and now it's all about. But going back to your question, I don't want to digress too much. So with me, the biggest thing I say, if you want to do a film, is to self-invest. Even if you don't have much, if you have $50, say, okay, I'm going to save this $50 to do a short film. Because my first short film, which was Strays, I did not have a budget. I was touching my savings and asking my mom and dad to just say, hey, can I borrow this to shoot this? and at the end of the day, that's all it really is just trying to have people invest in you, or at the end of the day, invest in yourself, because you can't say you want to be a filmmaker and not invest in yourself. Because I hate when filmmakers say, oh, I want to do this, but haven't shot anything yet. Especially, I'm from New York City, so if you want to live, you could throw a rock and find a camera in New York City. You can even use your phone, so there's like no excuse to say.
There's films that won awards now shot on film.
Yeah, exactly. So there's no excuse to say, I don't have money, I don't have this. You got to, invest in yourself. Even if the story doesn't pan out to be good, just shoot something and get the experience, because at the end of the day, filmmaking, as you would know, it's about experience. You need constant repetition. That's what you.
Yeah, if you want to get better. Although there's these directors have get these big I guess offers to direct films simply because they have a good script on hand. and they've never had any directing experience, and their films look great because everybody on the crew is like
really
top
good
professional
at their job. Yeah.
Yeah. So but obviously when you're starting out and doing like these kind of this project that we shot,
That was
this
fun,
is,
man. That
was a fun day.
And this
like,
is something like that. I'm sorry to cut you off, Tom, but that we did Strays in one day, and that was like a 13-hour shoot. And that was
it one day?
Yeah, we all did all this in one day, and so we had 2 locations one day. I had to get a permit, and these are things that if you guys don't know, especially in New York City, most of the time you need a permit to shoot.
Yeah.
And most people don't know how to go about that, but just do your Google research and things like that. We have so much information we could just get on our phone and just. I think if you want to do it, you have to do it, especially with filmmaking.
So, for example, you didn't have a producer then helping you with that first?
No,
one?
I was my own producer. I did when it comes to location permits, you just figured it all on your own. And well, my first job in the industry. So after I went to Hunter, I started working as I got into the location department for an NBC show called The Blacklist.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked with some great people there, and so I kind of learned a lot, and I learned about how you have to film legally in New York City. So I learned about getting permits, talking to NYPD when you have gun scenes and things like that. So I was fortunate enough to kind of have my toe in the water and then know that, I work in the industry now, so let me do my own short film, which was Strays. And so I did that, and that's pretty much how we did it. And then a key tip for people who want to be filmmakers also is utilize websites like Airbnb for a location. That's what I use pretty much all the time if I need something as Airbnb, but also try and be upfront to people that you're using your Airbnb with. Don't say, hey, I want to stay at your house for a weekend, and then show up with a whole crew and not tell them what's going on. Then you look like a jackass, and they're probably going to say, get out of here. So just try to always be honest.
I think it's also against like the certain policies.
Exactly. So,
but if you're viewing upfront, then no problem.
Exactly. So, and again, that just goes back to me also
So would you say that's a good way to save a few dollars?
Yeah, that's a great way to save a few dollars is the Airbnb. That saved me a lot of money.
Okay. Any other tips about getting locations and stuff?
Always try to know how big or small your crew is, because that could be, if let's say you're shooting in an apartment and the apartment is too small, but you have a big crew. Now you're potentially jeopardizing your short film because you didn't get the right location. So know your script and know the location that you're scouting.
Okay.
Don't try to go cheap because you don't know how many people, because you have too many people. You say, I tell these people to stay in the corner, but then when your cinematographer comes, you have shadows over here and over here because there's way too many people in such a small apartment. So know your script before you get a location.
Next, I guess we have a question here. Is from what is it? We have various questions. First one maybe. Question is for you, Ashley. How do you find your actors and actresses?
That's a great question.
And what do they work for? Is it for free?
No, sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sadly. But again, don't worry about the money, because you should always see your film as an investment. So I know sometimes money is tight, but always see your film as an investment. So if an actor says, I want to get paid, do your research. Don't just pay anybody. Make sure they're a credible actor. But so I usually find I should do a promo on this. I usually find my actors on backstage.com or actorsaccess.com. So Actors Access usually requires a payment for their actors, and Backstage you can usually do for free. Or I go, from when I was at Hunter, I would just make a post on Hunter, hey, I'm shooting a film, who can act?
Oh, okay. So that's where going to school
Exactly. That's where going to
school
comes into play. So those three, but if not in school, I would definitely say utilize backstage.com or actorsaccess.com. Those are 2 great platforms to find actors.
Mm-hmm. I mean, these 2 girls actually in this film.
Jessica Batista and Katie Sarah, 2 great, phenomenal actors. Jessica I think she went to City College and did acting, and Katie been acting since she was 5, and they're great, man.
And you found them
on backstage.com. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
On backstage.com.
Good to know.
You host auditions somewhere. I hosted auditions downtown in the city, like on 34th Street at some studio. Did that for about 4 hours. Had some talented actors come through, but those 2 I thought best fit my story.
Oh, okay. We have another question here from Adam Beatty. Hey everyone, as a director, do you choose your sound guy? I guess on the indie productions, and if so, according to what criteria?
Well, sound.
Sounds like he's from Tunisian sound engineer. Well, we have people, by the way. Let us know where you're joining us from, because we have people I see from Florida, from Boston, Romania.
I hate Boston. Big Yankees fan.
From Greece, from all over the world. So yeah, it is it. Anyways, the question. So how do you find?
So I was always told, even when I was an intern, I was told if you're ever going to spend money on a sound person. That's the one place where you can never go cheap, because you could shoot something beautiful, but the sound could be garbage, and then your whole film is gone.
It's painful to watch.
It's painful, yeah. So unfortunately, I haven't had that experience yet. But so when it comes to sound, again, this goes back to having a network. I went to Hunter College, so at Hunter, there was a equipment guy who did my first 2 films. His name was Ali. He said, "Oh, I want to be a sound designer, or whatever the case may be." He said, "Can I work on your film?" I said, "Of course. I can't really pay you much," but he said, "That's fine. I just want to do it." And I found him. My last short film I did, which was The Rest of Us, was a buddy of mine called his name was Ruben. He also wants to be a director, but he's a chameleon. He could do plenty of different things.
Okay.
And he said, "I'm really good with sound. You could trust me." And that's pretty much it. Because at the end of the day, you have to trust people to do their job. So that's one thing I would also say. If you want to find somebody who could do sound or do camera, trust them to do their job. They might make a mistake or two, but hell, I make mistakes too as a director. We're all learning, trying to do the same thing. So we're not professionals.
Although, if you make mistakes with sound,
exactly. But
that can be pretty painful.
Exactly.
Yeah, because then you're editing your film and you're like, ooh, especially after you spend, even if it's a little bit of money, but it's, when you're an indie filmmaker and you spend money on the locations and the actors and all that stuff, and then you get back to the editing and it's like, oh man, the sound is crap. So. But I will admit that having good sound is key. Even though it's funny because for those of you who don't have film set experience, a lot of times, like everybody else, like on a film set is, the camera department takes their time, sets up the cameras, the director will walk to the scene with the actors, the production designers will, go over the set. Whereas the sound guys always seem like the loneliest in the corner. They're always told to no time yet right now, just stay away. And they're sitting there. And then it's always like, I know, it's like, and I sometimes been, at fault too as a director or even, as a cinematographer, sometimes I'll be like, all right, we're ready to roll. Where's the sound? And then they have to scrap, and like within a minute they have to get ready. So
get ready so fast. It takes less than 30 seconds.
It seems like
and then press record. That's
and it seems like they're not appreciated as much. But it's true. If the sound sucks, oh man, the film is going to be horrible. Right?
So that would be my answer to you, man. It's just try and have somebody that you trust, and then go from there. But don't. Where money is one thing that you should definitely spend on sound is definitely sound. Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. What else do we have? Also, some other maybe. These clips, by the way, you guys are seeing. This is from the latest project that we shot with Jaylin. Maybe you can talk a little bit about the film.
Yeah. So this film right here is called Rest of Us. I actually got the idea from Superbad. So this is kind of similar to Superbad, where this kid is a smart kid. So I got the idea from Superbad, and also I'm a big J. Cole fan. So Friday Night Lights, one of his mixtapes, I listen to it a lot, and it just is. It's kind of like a mixtape where it's going through like a journey. And so with this project, I wanted to be this kid who's super smart, super talented, but he lacks in one department, which in high school you kind of always get clowned for being like a virgin in high school, especially like in New York City. So I went to public school, so if you was a virgin there, it kind of like got made fun of. And so the story starts off where this kid is super talented, he's super smart, but he wants to lose his virginity. And so he wakes up
like every kid, right?
Every kid,
in high school.
It's in high school, yeah. So he wakes up, but he also has another skeleton in his closet where he's being raised by his sister, who's in a really bad domestic violence situation. And so he always finds himself constantly trying to defend his sister. And so on this day, he wakes up. You see his hands bloodied and bruised because he just fought off her sister's boyfriend. And he tells her, hey, I'm scared to go away to school now because he's constantly beating on you. And the sister says, don't worry about this and that. I'll take care of it. Just worry about your future. And so with doing that, he says, okay, you know what? Today I'm going to cut school and try and lose my virginity to this girl that I really like. And so he finds himself doing that, and then it just goes downhill from there, as you can imagine. So it turned out really well, man. I'm proud of myself. We had a super talented cast. It was Francisco, who played Jermaine. We had Giuseppe. We had Anna Marie, Millie, Jocelyn, I believe. So it was in Arsenio. Can't forget him out. So yeah, we had a super talented cast.
Yeah, and it was this was 2 days it took us, right?
This was 2 day shoot.
I one thing I'll tell you is and I'm saying this because like even on Strays, I didn't seem like it was like, now you're telling me it was 13 hours or whatever. It didn't even feel like that.
That's
it was,
a good thing. I mean, I'm doing my job.
Yeah. And it's you have very relaxed sets, because I've been on a lot of film sets, especially indie sets, because you don't have money to cover everything. You don't have enough people, so things are a little chaotic. But I found that on your film sets, it's just, I don't know, the atmosphere is chill, and I think it kind of comes down to your personality.
Yeah, I'm a really mellow guy.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, that just came from me. This is one thing that's really true about me, especially as a filmmaker. Nobody should know your story better than you, especially as a director or just a filmmaker in general. So if you know your story, your crew will be confident and trusting you that it's a process. We do this, we do that. And then so if you have that and you know your story, you know your location, and you know everything, and you should know the ins and outs of your script. And I'm pretty confident I knew about that with anything I do, because I'm real passionate about putting my last name on something. Just so I know if my name is going on this project, I want it to be calm, cool, collected. I want everybody to be calm, cool, collected, because filmmaking is supposed to be fun. So at the end of the day, as long as we're having fun, everybody's doing what they're supposed to, and you know your story, you should have fun. I hate being on sets where people are running around with their heads cut off. It's not fun. It makes the day go by longer. You just want to go home at that point. So
have you been on sets like that?
Yeah, I've been on a few like that. So I don't like it. I'm not gonna say any names, but I don't like it. So,
come on,
I'm not gonna do that. But so, and like that goes back to, so the first show I ever worked on was The Blacklist, and The Blacklist was like really great for me because I learned a lot working on that show, especially in the location department. You learn how to coordinate a film crew, because you're handling the logistics of a set. And so learning, coming from that environment to now doing my own projects, I know, okay, this is how this works, this is how this works. And so I just gained confidence in knowing how things should work.
And I would say those are actually very important things, because at the end of the day, if you can have the best vision as a director, amazing script, but if all those things in the background, like for example, people taking care of making sure the location's good and you're okay to film there, nobody's going to interrupt you, like things like that. If those things aren't taken care of, then you're going to have problems, right? As when you're working on your film. We have another here question. This is from is it Richard? It's kind of more camera based, but it's is asking basically. I'm at here. Last the question. Where is it, Richard? Oh yeah, here. He's watching from Amsterdam. Hello,
hey,
Amsterdam.
Richard from Amsterdam.
He's saying, my question, in Blackmagic Ursa's mini lineup, what kind of model do you think will be released next? 6K, 8K? Actually, by the way, this here, like this footage that we're showing you from this film, the last one that we did with Jaylin, that's actually all shot on the Ursa, on the Ursa Pro. And to be honest, what do I think? I mean, I know now. I know actually two people I have contacts at. You could say not insider contacts, but I have contacts of people in Blackmagic, and one of them is actually one of the camera engineer designers that actually worked on the Ursa cameras. And as far as I know, at least that's what they're telling me, there is no plans for a new camera. But then again, you know how it is. Sometimes they say that, and then last minute at NAB or something, they'll be like, by the way, we have 3 cameras we're releasing this year. But I think, I mean, this year they released, the 2 Blackmagic, the packet cameras, and I know that the G2, it's still, you can get it, I guess, but it's not everywhere. It's still on back order in certain places. So that's like the new release that they're pushing. I've had a little bit of experience with the G2, and even though I know to a lot of people, like your question is about whether it's 6K or 8K, a lot of people think that, the resolution is king. And I'll tell you guys that no, that at the end of the day, I'd rather have a camera that even still shoots 1080p, or maybe not 1080p, but maybe like 3K or 4K. But for me, the most valuable thing is going to be the dynamic range, and then having like the ability to, for example, like the G2 now has the higher frame rates you can shoot in, which is always nice when if you need to do that super slow motion. Also having the ability to, for example, record on different mediums, a camera that uses less batteries, and even shrinking in size. That's why I think for me, the packet cameras or the new Zcam, for example, camera that I'm testing, I think those are where the industry is going to be going, and you're going to be seeing more and more of those, like even big budget films being shot on these tiny little cameras, because I think we're going, or at least I hope so, maybe I'm wrong, but I think we're going away from the days when people were impressed, like I know when I started shooting and we're still shooting on film, but if you showed up to set with like a little video camera, like nobody would take you seriously, or like, really, that's all you got, like even the actors would be like, I need something,
yeah.
I need to feel like I'm being appreciated, like I'm professional. now I think people are kind of understanding that, like you said, even like with the new iPhone, there was a film I saw, a short film that was shot on the new iPhone, and I was like, wow,
It's so
that's
amazing how
freaking-
people could do that, man. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's
just the
scary,
iPhone.
man. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So-
filmmaking's like the only true magic that really exists, man. It's magical what
Yeah.
you can really do with shooting some things, man.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's funny because you say that. People always ask me, "Oh, what did you shoot your film on?" I say, "I have no freaking idea. I have this guy named Tom. He's incredible. I don't know anything. Camera was never my thing. I have no idea."
So that's interesting because I think you have a lot of potential in the industry, and I hope that the film, especially the last one we worked on, is even more successful. But it's as a director, like you've already getting your way in the industry. You're making films. You're getting some succcses already, but you don't really know much about the cameras.
Not a damn thing. I said other than the red button up, that's record. That's all I know. That's all you would get from me. That also, again, this goes back to I can't stress Hunter College enough because it really helped me out a lot. Where my professor Zawabi, I always pronounce his name wrong, but he would tell me he was a pretty great director, especially internationally. But he would say, "I don't know shit about cameras." He would come into class saying, "I don't know a damn thing about cameras. Don't ask me no technical questions. I do not know." And that kind of made me relax more, because I used to stress myself out saying, because you would go into class and you have a class, I'll break down the camera, do this. I don't know, like that. Things like that give me anxiety because I have no idea how to work a camera. I don't know. It wasn't my passion to work a camera. And so he would if you don't know a camera, that's fine. You don't have. That's not your job. If you want to be a director, focus on being a director. You want to be
That is a good.
You want to be a cinematographer, then you should know the ins and outs of every camera, every button, this and that. So that would be awesome advice. If you want to be a director, be a director. Don't let somebody tell you, "Oh, you have to learn the camera." No, you don't. That's not your job. Focus on your job.
If you want to be a director and a cinematographer, which there are some big directors who do that, then yes. But otherwise, and that is a very good point, because I'll tell you that there is too many people stressing about gear, cameras, and all that stuff when they shouldn't. Yeah.
That alone would make you want to not do your project because you're worrying about things you don't have to worry about.
Yeah, exactly.
You trust who you have. Trust your crew. That's what you hire a crew for.
And find, like you said, find people who are also that's their area of expertise, and they're going to be usually more passionate about it
than you are.
Yeah, and the fact that you're bringing, giving them the opportunity, especially somebody who's starting out work on, with you, I think that they're just going to jump for it. So, but yeah, definitely, guys, don't remember technical things. It's always, if you're, whatever the area that you specialize in, you got to know your craft. But as a director, trust me, there's a lot of big time directors that, for example, got their first gig directing, and they literally showed up and they knew nothing about any technical things. But what they did know is they knew their story. Yep. And then they knew, I guess I would say maybe one skill that's very important as a director is knowing people. Working with actors, right?
Yeah, which is a big thing. That's something I really try to pride myself on. Anybody who, I will hope, any actors I ever worked at, that goes back to my first project. I worked with this girl named Ariana and Patrick Bruce. And so those two actors, I really tried to, even from them to even doing small workshops, I always try to tell myself, be a people person. As a director, you have to be a people person. There's some...
And kind of a politician.
Yeah. There's some people, some directors who would just stay over on Film Village, Video Village, and just say, "Okay, do this, do that, do this, do that." So for some people that works for me, that's like... I don't like that. I want to be intimate with you. I want to talk to you. I want you to be comfortable with me so you can be comfortable yourself. So that's also a big thing to me, is being real intimate with your actors and saying, "Okay, I trust you. Trust your intuition more. Maybe you should do this more." Just small things like that. Make your actors comfortable. That's really big to me.
All right, we got another question here from Rogerio. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly. How do you choose the music for your films? If you need it, what is it? I'm here to compose something cool for you. All right, we got somebody see.
Yeah, there you go.
Filmmakers are willing to offer their help.
When it goes to composing music, my last film was just Strays. Tom right here. We did the project. We said, "Oh, maybe this needs a little bit of music," and we went and found something online. And he had a database he went to and used. But again, I'm a director.
I heard you're replacing all the music now.
Yeah. No, that's above my pay grade. That's somebody else who wants, for distribution purposes. You might have to do that. Okay. That's not my call.
I was like, damn it! All my hard work went out the window. That's
not my call. Sometimes, guys, when you meet some people, they want some things done for your project. You might have to change a little bit.
Well, no, I'm just making a joke. Yeah. I know that music, I tried my best, but again, I'm not gonna say.
But when it comes to composing, also, this goes back to having a network. Before this, I knew somebody named Ali, I mentioned him before. He was also a music composer, so he knew people. So I can't stress this enough, and I might repeat myself a lot when it comes to this, and it might be nauseating, but you have to establish a network as a filmmaker. Most filmmakers, even as you know, even the big filmmakers, they use the same people over and over and over again because they trust them and they know they're good at what they're doing. And so with me, I have there's probably about 5 or 6 people I know. I can shoot a text like Tom and say, hey, I'm working on the project. If you're free, let me know. Here's the script, and then you go from there. I think that's.
Speaking of which, do you have any scripts coming up?
I'm working on a few things. Yeah. So
give me a call.
I'm always working. Yeah, sure, will do. So I think that's paramount as a filmmaker, is having a network of people, because at the end of the day, you can't do this. You can't tell a story by yourself.
Yeah.
So always remember that as a filmmaker.
Yeah, networking is key.
Yeah,
definitely.
And if you're not, some people love to say, hey, I'm not a people person. How do I network? That's okay. I'm known to be a little antisocial at times, and that's okay too. But again, if you're around people who want to be filmmakers, you would just gravitate to, and you guys would just start talking. Hey, what's your favorite movie? Oh, mine's personally is Saving Private Ryan. Oh, I love that movie. I think that's one of Spielberg's best movies, whatever the case may be. And it just goes from there. Here's my email. Follow me on Instagram. Oh, next thing you know, you shoot a DM. Oh, are you available to do this and that? Things like that is how you network and how you guys become familiar with each other.
Yeah. I see we have a lot of questions here, a lot of technical questions, which maybe I'll try to get into after, because I know that Jaylin, like you said, he doesn't worry too much about the technical things. So if you guys have any other kind of questions too, like more creative questions, let me know. The camera questions I'll try to get to, or if I can't during the show, I'll let you guys know afterwards. Basically, I'll just answer in the comments. But yeah, maybe let's kind of think. So what's the future hold for you then?
The future hope for me I would hope it involve me doing a feature-length film at some point in time within the next 3 or 4 years, because I know it's super hard to get off the ground, and then you have, especially in indie filmmaking, it's all about trying to have a budget, and if you don't have a budget, just make it work. Fake, as they say, quote unquote, fake it till you make it. And so that's what I'll try and do from now, and just working on a couple stories where I'm really passionate about. And for me personally, if I'm not passionate about it, I won't do it. Okay. So if I'm really
do you have a story then that you?
Yeah, I have one. So
I'm really
passionate about.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm still in the writing process at the moment, like my second draft. So it just be, and then once I have the time, because I'm not like Tom. I'm not super talented. Can't do filmmaking 24/7 and not have a job. So I have other ways to make money. So yeah, whenever I have the time, I'm gonna get it done.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you come up with stories then? Like even for the 2 films that we worked on, because they're both drama, but they're very different, right?
Yeah. My third one, even back to my first story. My first story was a personal experience with me having my kid young. My second one was based off. I'm a big Orange is the New Black fan. So Diana Guerrero, if you guys know her and her story, where how her family was deported. So I read her autobiography and I said, man, this would make a great.
Oh yeah, now I remember.
Film. Yeah.
I remember that you told me it was after we actually shot, because I was asking you where you got that.
So after I read her book, and once I finished her book in like a day. I'm a big reader guy, so that's also I think a key to being a filmmaker is reading a lot. And so I finished her book in like a day, and I said, damn, I have to make a story about this. And so I thought about the script. I wrote it up in like less than a week. Then it's always about fine tuning the script, whatever the case may be. And so I just had to fine tune it, and then went from there. My third short film came about that idea from watching This Is Us on NBC. That goes also a drama, and so I watched that. And then at the time I was listening to J. Cole a lot, so I thought about the story and said, this would make a great story, just about how teenagers, especially growing up in the city, try to focus on so many things, they just get lost on the end game because they're trying to do for peer pressure. Yeah, that's true. Well, actually, speaking of things, so like, have you seen recently maybe any other like interesting films? Like what are, like when you go watch films, whether so I
online,
just saw Queen and Slim, the Queen and Slim by Lena Waithe. No, it's just a feature. It's not a short film. It's a feature. Yeah, okay. That was pretty good. That was really good. That was, especially, you will appreciate that film. The aspect wise looked really good.
What type of film
Queen
is
and Slim. It's a drama. this couple, they on a date and they shoot a cop, and they're on the one. It's supposed to be like a black Bonnie and Clyde story.
I think I've seen the trailer for it.
It's good.
It's in cinema.
Yeah. It's in theaters. Yeah. So the last week.
Oh yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
So those are the kind of stories you like to watch?
No, I don't like the somebody always getting shot, but no.
No. I'm saying like the drama or like, because like I know a lot of people even who watch the show, they love all the blockbusters now, which a lot of it is like the superhero stuff.
Yeah.
And I have some friends who like actually worked on some of those superhero films and they love it too. For me, I don't know. I could never get into it.
I'm not a big superhero person at all, but I will say one of my favorite series of this year was definitely Bad Boys on Amazon.
Oh,
The superhero like spin-off type of thing.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was like real. That might have been the best I think show I watched all year. Putting aside like the regular Game of Thrones, not in comparison to those, but I mean
Yeah.
like new shows. That was probably the best new show I think I saw all of 2019.
oh, have you
Hands
watched
down.
Game of Thrones then?
Yeah, I'm a big Game of Thrones guy.
Yeah?
Tom. Yeah. I didn't
I-
like the last season at all, but yeah, I'm a big
Oh,
Game
okay.
of Thrones person. Yeah.
Because for me, I never, I don't know. Again, I'm just not into
Dragons
like,
guy?
yeah. And it's funny because it's a lot of time, like maybe my friends will tell me like, oh, you're boring. Well, what do you watch? And I do watch movies, but I love, for example, like I don't know why, not so much that I love serious things. I love comedy, all that stuff, but I love stories that are more set in reality. So because of that,
Okay, I can see that.
I love historical things.
Yeah.
I love whether it's a drama or a funny thing or whatever, but it can never get into the whole like superheroes or
Yeah.
like the fairy tale, like
Yeah.
that. I'm guessing that's what Game of Thrones is,
Well,
right?
I'm also not a big sci-fi type of person anyway. I just watched. The reason I watched Game of Thrones, honestly, because at the point in time in my life, I was doing overnight security and I needed something to watch. So they and at that point they was on like
Out of
season
necessity.
2. Yeah, they was like on season 2, and one of my coworkers said, just watch Game of Thrones. That's what I watched to stay up all
And
night.
you got
and I
into
did
it?
And I got. The next thing you know, I'm hooked. And so since season 2, I was watching. So that's all it really was. I was never that big.
Maybe
of a
I'll
fan
give it a
either.
try then. See,
Yeah,
maybe,
yeah.
maybe
It's not
it'll-
bad. It's
yeah.
not bad at all.
It's for me it's interesting, but like I find that it's just I don't know why I like stories that are more set in reality. Even though when I remember I watched the film, was it years ago with my buddies, I watched Dude, Where's My Car? I don't know if you-
Oh yeah, that's
It's like one of the dumbest movies
yeah,
ever.
It's funny though. It's funny.
And like to really enjoy it, I think you have to be high on weed or something, which I don't smoke. So I was but I still enjoyed it because I'm not gonna say it was set in reality because they have some whatever alien Zorg thing. But I don't know. I just either I like those kind of really dumb movies, or if it's gonna be something more taken seriously, then it has to be kind of sort of set in reality.
Yeah.
So
I can see that. I can see that.
yeah, so that's my thing. So I'm my taste in movies. Maybe you guys can let us know what kind of movies you guys watch. Just let us know.
You
in the
have like a
comments.
top 5 list of like your favorite movies?
Oh yeah, I mean the first I would say 2 films that really kind of like I watched movies before that, but I'm saying 2 films that like really inspired me to make films were, and maybe because of technical things, were Jurassic Park. I remember I
get
watched that.
A lot of people tell me that. A
Yeah,
lot
yeah.
of filmmakers tell me that.
And
They
Jurassic
love
Park was
Jurassic
just,
Park.
and even though it's sort of out there idea, the fact that they kind of explain it, like I watched it, and at
The Spielberg vehicle.
yeah, like when they explained it, the whole beginning with the DNA, I almost thought, wow, this is possible.
Yeah.
We're gonna have dinosaurs any minute. And I fell in love with that story. That's why like later, like I think Jurassic Park 3 or the last one, I enjoyed it too. I watched it, but I didn't enjoy it as much as the first one. The first one I
okay.
was like,
Yeah,
wow.
everybody loves it,
Yeah,
yeah.
just the whole mystery. And then when they go to the island, and then obviously from the technical aspect, that was one of the reasons why I got into effects and doing animation.
Yeah, when you watch the behind the scenes on that movie, it's like insane.
Oh, yeah,
man.
yeah,
It's insane. And they
And-
were also
and-
pioneers, like with the robots and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, how they were like pushing all the
Yeah, yeah,
technologies,
yeah,
whether
yeah.
it's the computer graphics, the robots, everything. At that time, it wasn't so easy because now
Yeah.
you can pretty much, if you have the budget, you can have anything, right?
Yeah.
But I remember, that was the big thing that impressed me. And then the next movie, which is funny because it was how I got into it. I didn't even know it was a film. It was Lion King. I remember I watched.
Did you see the new one?
No, I didn't like. I saw the live action one.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I saw a lot of people. I'm gonna get a lot of hate probably, but I did not like the
Yeah,
new
my
one.
daughter loved it. I was like, oh, it's okay. It's the lines didn't have any like facial expressions.
Yeah,
They were,
exactly.
like,
That's what I
straight
thought.
Faces the whole
Yeah.
time. Yeah,
And I thought that like not only but even the other characters, they were just like blah, 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 like the
Yeah.
bird, their beak was moving. The original one had like life. I don't know. I just found it more funny.
Course, yeah. Younger kids now, they the original was definitely.
But has your daughter done watched the original one or no?
Yeah, but she still. I like the new one better. That's
Oh,
just
yeah?
kids, though. Yeah, they don't appreciate
everything new.
They don't
Yeah.
appreciate what we had to go through. I guess.
For
struggle.
Yeah.
for animation.
No, but I loved it. Like I remember for me that was actually I think like Lion King was like the thing that like really pushed me into okay, I want to do something with films because I remember like I lived in Poland. For those of you who don't know, it was communist at the time, and we had 2 channels on TV. It wasn't much, and whatever like cartoons they had, it was like basically all this like really horrible Russian propaganda basically. And so I was, even as a kid, I just didn't watch cartoons. And then I remember I got into like we came, emigrated, and then I remember I was watching on, what was it? No. I came across a CD at the time, a soundtrack of Lion King, which I didn't even know what it was. And I just loved the little painting that it had on it. And I was like, oh, let me listen to it. I love the music. I had no idea it was a movie. And then somebody said like one time, oh, it's that thing you was listening to, right? It's still in cinemas. And I'm like, oh, what do you mean? It's a film? And they're like, yeah. So I went, and I wasn't really a kid anymore, but I was like, okay, I'll go see it. And I didn't know it was an animated film, first of all. I was completely clueless.
That was funny. So you just went in like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Because I didn't really follow like cinema at that point and anything. And I was like, oh, let me just go because I love the music. And I went there. And I remember right from the opening scene with this, it's Sylvania, and you have that sun, all the way to the closing credits, even though it was a cartoon, and I never even really watched cartoons as a kid, I was just like, wow. And first thing I remember was like, how do they do that? Because, part of it is because I think Lion King, it was one of those, it was a children's story, but it has this dramatic element in it, right? It talks about death and
your family, how
So that story really stuck with me. And I was like, wow, how, they did that. And I used to draw, like when I was a kid, so I used to draw a lot. So I was like, well, I can draw those things, I want to tell stories like that. And that's how I got into animation. So yeah, like, what about you?
So my favorite movie of all time is Saving Private Ryan. And so,
I love that one too. Yeah.
So, and if you know the movie very well, you would know that, the opening scene, to me, I always love the opening scene of that movie. Like my thesis essay was on that opening scene of that movie because
it's like half hour long, right?
How they did everything from top to bottom. How when they Tom Hanks opened his hand, his hand is shaking, and how they had to bleach some of that scene out for the look. It just everything about that movie I just absolutely love, and how Spielberg had this like realistic view of how the camera was like always on like a shoulder. It was always on the actor's camera. The camera was always on the actor's shoulder, so kind of like we were part of the platoon that they were in, trying to infiltrate on D-Day. So things like that, I love that. I like geek out on that movie. Like, if you want to hear me be like a complete nerd, just ask me about Saving Private Ryan, and I would tell you everything about it because that's like just like one of my favorite movies of all time, man.
Well, it's funny because for me also, like it was later on, but it was also like one of my favorites. A lot of Spielberg movies I enjoy for different reasons, but that one, I think it was the first time that I. Because I remember even when I was like younger, I was like thinking, oh, I joined the army and like it just. And then when I watched that movie, I was like, wow, like there's consequences. Because as a kid, you don't think about it. You just think, oh, it's gonna be an adventure. And so that was I think the first thing is especially the opening scene. But the whole movie, I found it's right to the end was gripping. And that was actually one of the reasons why my first feature film as a director that I did was actually inspired by a thing. It was actually World War II film that I did, because of Saving Private Ryan. So I loved it. And then did you watch the Band of Brothers afterwards they did?
Yeah, that was okay. I didn't like that as much.
No? What about the one in the Pacific?
Which one is? The HBO one? The miniseries? That was good. The miniseries one. I can't think the name of it.
I forget the name of it too.
On HBO. Yeah, that was good.
I loved Band of Brothers. I liked it. I mean, especially when I learned that it was a true story too. Of just the way that was presented. And then the one in the Pacific, I remember. I'm a big like a war movie buff because of Saving Private Ryan. Because I remember like I read this book with the Old Breed, and then that's kind of what that Pacific one is based on, and also like just knowing like the backstory of the main character there. And all that stuff. Yeah, I found this, it's just really, again, going back to these kind of stories that are very set in reality. I was like, wow.
Like the only war movie I hate is Pearl Harbor because I don't think it's a war movie at all.
Oh, no, yeah. You mean the Michael Bay one, right? I love the effects in it.
I hate, Pearl Harbor, that wasn't Michael Bay, I don't think.
Yeah, Pearl Harbor. That was Michael Bay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Michael Bay makes like whatever the Transformers and stuff. He makes good action flicks, and to me it was a good action flick. But if you're looking at it, if you're working from like a more I mean, I don't know. I guess technically it is accurate to what happened, but it just like for one thing you'll notice in the whole film is actually there's really no blood that they show except that one scene where they're in the hospital, and like when people get shot, it's just
they get shot.
It's like this,
spraying everywhere,
because they wanted to get that lower PG rating, so that everybody could go to cinema. So that was a big thing. And Michael Bay knows how to make a good action, but I think because of that. Like look at the action or the war scenes in that versus Saving Private Ryan.
Completely, it's night and day.
And now, like, if you watched, movies like that, you think like, oh man, I want to go to war.
Yeah,
It's so much fun. You watch Saving Private Ryan and you go, holy shit, war
There's
is
some people
hell.
I know who can't even get to the opening scene of Saving Private Ryan because they say it's too much.
Yeah.
There's plenty
That's
of people
true.
who tell you I've never seen the movie because I hate the opening scene. There's plenty of people who tell you that. So it's
Which in a way, even if they like, I think that as a message in the film, I think it has a good message.
And I always watch behind. He always say that's what I intended to do. He wanted to make them uncomfortable because that's how it was for them. It's just I don't think nothing about war is a comfortable mind state. It's all like, am I gonna die? So,
Well, I mean, I can only imagine, but I would say those are the kind of movies that really, in a way, educate people. Right?
Yeah, 100%.
Is that maybe one thing? Like, as a filmmaker, do you think you want to like kind of maybe
shine a light on
certain things? And
yeah. I mean, I think I always at the end of my film, I always want somebody to say that was a good story. That's like the main thing. I always want somebody to say when they see my film, they say that was good. You don't have to. Whatever else comes after that, it comes because everybody is always gonna have their own perspective or their own agenda because of their own personal experiences. But for me itself, I always want to, like, when we did Strays, I really wanted to shine a light on immigration because even with the climate now, with the guy running the office now, you could tell how it's not how we want to live in this country with the way we treat immigrants. So I think with that film, it was about how do we treat people who are immigrants or not. So that's kind of what I really want to shine a light on with that film.
Okay. What about the new one that we worked on?
I think most of this film is just going to shine a light on just being a teenager in the inner city. Is you could, especially under peer pressure. Under peer pressure, you fall into a lot of things you need to find yourself getting into, and then it just goes downhill from there. And just knowing how to live your life, I think that's something I really want to shine a light on.
We have a question here actually from Joel Sanders. What's your input on Tarantino films? Actually, do you watch Tarantino films?
Yeah. I'm not the biggest Tarantino fan, surprisingly. Yeah. I was never a big Tarantino guy.
No?
I might hurt some people's feelings about that. I was never.
You're gonna get some hate for sure.
Yeah. But what I always loved about him personally, though, when you read his scripts never is never a proper script the way you would think an ideal script is. It's like reading a novel.
Yeah, which I heard people love that about.
So that's like the one thing I love of when you watch some of his movies. I'm not the biggest movie buff of Tarantino.
No.
I love his story of how he worked in like an adult store and was just watching movies all day.
Yeah.
That you will of course love. That's like the
I think he's
underdog
for sure.
story. Yeah, of course. But I'm not
just
the biggest fan.
I think he has a big like knowledge of film cinema on all kinds of genres. I mean, I'll tell you that when it was his first film was it Reservoir Dogs, right? I
it's
watched
a good movie,
it.
That's also
It is a good movie, but I remember like when the first time I watched it, I didn't appreciate it. That was one thing. So I was kind of came out a little bit like, I don't know, but not that it was bad, but I just think. Pulp Fiction also, I remember
I'm not a fan of that movie. Many people, it's like a cult following with that movie at this point, and I'm just not the biggest fan.
No.
Like the one thing I do love about the movies when you have Samuel Jackson, can I curse on here?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have Samuel Jackson. He's like, say motherfucker one more time. Say it again. That's like the one thing I love about the movie. But other than that line, but I'm not the biggest Pulp Fiction guy.
I would say he's got a lot of great lines.
Yeah.
You know, like even in Kill Bill, like a lot of these just cool
movie
things.
I just don't like.
Oh no, okay.
I'm not a fan.
I'll tell you this, that like for me, it took a while to kind of get into Tarantino, and it's funny because now I can appreciate like things about Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, Kill Bill. Yeah, I like it. I remember though that like the new one that came out, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I heard mixed reviews, but I didn't see it.
Yeah, so I also heard like mixed reviews, and part of it was because he like I guess put real people, and he kind of put him in some not favorable light, right? Because his story is, I mean, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is sort of based on reality. It has real people, but at the same time, it has it takes real historical characters and kind of puts them into these weird settings, right? And kind of changes a little bit of what they're doing, right? Basically changes history without spilling, or destroying the whole story. But basically revolves around the whole Charles Manson, basically, murders in 1969. And it was interesting because I actually went to see it only because like I heard so many mixed reviews, and finally I was like, okay, let me go see the movie. And then, it was funny because I was already forming an idea in my head, like, oh, it's probably not going to be good. Yeah. And I went to see it, and I'm like, yeah, let me write so I can write like a proper article about it, like because I also one of my like childhood heroes when I was watching movies was Bruce Lee. I remember those were the movies that we could watch in Poland, in communist Poland. So they let us watch Bruce Lee, and I remember like I just loved Bruce Lee. So then when I heard that he like really like made Bruce Lee look like an asshole basically in that film, I was like, oh no, that's too far. So I'm like, I'm gonna go see the film and I'm gonna criticize it. And then I remember like I went to see it by myself, and it was like almost nobody in the cinema when I went because it was like towards the end of the screening thing. And I remember that it was something about it was weird. Like I came in there wanting to hate the film. I almost had that because of the reviews that I read. Yeah. And then at the end of it, I came out and I was like, not that I loved everything about the film, but at the same time, I don't know, there's something still good about Tarantino films. But I do admit you have to get into it. Like I remember I watched that the World War II one, was it Inglourious Basterds?
Tom Hanks, not Tom Hanks.
No. With Tarantino, with Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt, yeah.
You've seen that one? Yeah. So,
okay, yeah.
So I, for example, like I seen that one, and I remember when I saw it in the cinema, where it was packed, and a lot of like, especially like young people. And I remember they for the first 15-20 minutes, like a lot of people just left, and then afterwards, like they were like coming in and out, hanging out. They couldn't stand it because the especially that whole opening scene, and he's got those drawn out long dialogues. Not everybody likes that, and I guess that's the thing is maybe I'm getting older. I don't know, but I'm as I get older, I appreciate more of that, and I do think he's got amazing dialogue. He's got some cool twists and stories, but at the end of the day, I would say his stories are not like, oh my god, but the way he shows them, the way he creates really cool characters.
Yeah, well, one film I do like by him, which probably his most controversial, was Django.
Oh yeah. I love that one.
Django was a really good movie.
Even though, well, I guess like all of his films, they just got some crazy over the top violence. Yeah. But I like that one. It was like this kind of a hero again that you were like, okay, this guy's gonna get his revenge, right?
And I'm also like, Jamie Foxx might be one of my top 5 actors. I think he's like super talented and incredible. So that was a really good movie.
Yeah. So that's the one that you like from Tarantino.
Yeah, probably. Reservoir Dogs is okay. Like I said, I'm not the biggest. Not at all.
I mean, I like Tarantino
Martin
to a point.
Scorsese's a bigger fan of Martin Scorsese than.
Oh, really? Yeah. So have you watched the new one on Netflix?
Yeah, on Netflix. I liked it.
The Irishman? Did you get through the whole film?
In 2 days. I didn't watch it straight through. It was way too long. 3 hours and a half is a long time. I liked it.
It was funny because I remember like I started watching with a friend and we were like, oh, this new movie, let's watch it. Okay, whatever. And I didn't know like anything about the film. So I'm like, all right, let's watch it. And then we're like watching it. I think like hour into it, I fell asleep. And then afterwards, woke
up, it was still on.
Yeah, I woke up, and then I'm like, "How long?" And then afterwards, I was like watching it, and after like 10 minutes, my friend fell asleep, and then finally we're like, "Oh man, let me check." I'm like, "We're not even halfway through the film." I'm like, "Shit."
Yeah, that's a long.
It was a long one, but I did get through it. I think it took us like 3 days, but in the end, there's a lot of great cinema. But also, again, I think it's something.
Well, he really mastered his craft in telling mafia movies.
Yeah.
So even like. If I had to make a top 5, Goodfellas has to be on my top 5 because Goodfellas is like
and I'll tell you, I think he's great in that genre. But I think even like the one about the cinema that he did about I forget the name now, about the little kid who's kind of shows the history of cinema, and what is it called? Anyways, you guys can look it up on IMDb. But anyways, like he's done some other movies, Scorsese, that I really like. Or for example, with man, I'm like forgetting all the pilot, Howard Hughes. Was it called just the Aviator?
Oh,
right?
With Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah. So the Aviator, like I think he does other genres really well too. I think he's just an amazing filmmaker. It's just maybe
also went to film school.
Oh, he did?
I think NYU, I believe.
Oh, okay.
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so.
So yeah, I mean, amazing filmmaker. It's just like I think certain of his films maybe he also has the luxury now where he can make these extra long films.
Yeah.
Whereas anybody else would do it, the studio would come and be like, nope, you're cutting this down.
Yeah.
But he's Scorsese. Nobody's going to tell him
anything.
that.
That's 100% true.
So I think, but yeah, I mean, I think they're definitely talented people. It's just maybe just like Tarantino. I think now they're having fun with cinema. That's kind of what it comes down to.
That's also the most important thing I think in telling stories is having fun. It's always fun to me, like when we're on set, even with you, when we're working on something, let's just try to see if it works. I love doing things like that. I love because I'm not a big fan of, some people would tell you, you need a shot list. A shot list is important. Sometimes it is, sometimes It's
Sometimes
not. So it all depends. And so,
as long as you keep the story.
the
always
story,
in
just keep
of
the
your-
integrity of
Yeah.
of the narrative. Yeah, you'll be fine. But I love us being spontaneous at times on set and saying, okay, let's try this. Even though you have more of a luxury to do that if you have on the indie, you don't have like a $2 million or $20 million budget for your film. You don't want to tell your producer, oh, I just want to try and see how it works. He's gonna look at you like you're fucking stupid. So it also depends on what you're doing. But I believe now, since I'm still in the early stage of being a director, is I can able to be more experiment more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see here, what is it? Trevor is saying that, he's saying also a lot of my films aren't coming from studios anymore. They're actually coming from, like Netflix, Apple.
Yeah.
And he mentions Miss Maisel. Actually, it's by Amazon Studios. I Miss Maisel, the new season I haven't gotten into. My wife loves it, but like the first 2 seasons, I don't know if you watched it.
No.
It's like a story about, a story basically about a housewife who ends up getting kind of divorced and ends up in the 1950s, and she decides to do stand-up comedy.
Really?
It's like so, like if somebody told me that as a pitch, I'd be like, nah,
No.
I never want to watch
Yeah.
it. But somehow I get into it. It's a really entertaining show, and like just the production value. And I find that now, like the Scorsese film, it's a Netflix film. I think because of that, also cinema is changing. Where before you had to fit that standard, like that 2 hours, so you can fit in within a slot, within the cinema screening schedule. Whereas now, because people are consuming it on their phones.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say that too. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
so much. Even when it comes to, like you said, Apple and Amazon, there's so many different production companies now, even platforms, the networks who want to just, okay, let's do this. Let's just get the content out because people are going to watch it on their phones or whatever the case may be. So it really is a golden age now when it comes to cinema.
Yeah, and I think also because of that, it makes sense now to make short films because there's a lot of content that can be, people can like actually watch it while they're, on their way to work or something quick. Whereas before there wasn't really a way, like, I don't know, like 20 years ago, if you wanted to sell a short film, pretty much you're going to lose money. There's no way you could think. Now you can actually distribute it, even self-distribute it. So that's a cool thing. And then the other extreme being Scorsese, and you want to make a 4-hour or whatever how long film. But if, there's a thing for that, right? Like personally, I think maybe that film they could have just even broken it into episodes, like a little mini series.
That's what I actually thought it was when they first did The Irishman's coming out. I thought it was gonna be like a little like a mini series type of thing. But
I mean, at the end, me and you, we both just broke it up ourselves, right? You just stop, take a break, and watch it and thing. I still found the story interesting. It's just it's long.
definitely a great film, a great script, and Robert De Niro is still amazing. So is Joe Pesci.
What do you think about the whole? Because they made him look younger.
I liked it. It was cool. I liked it. Yeah,
it was. I remember because I knew nothing about the film, literally nothing. So when I watched it, I was like, at first I was like, wait a minute, he looks awfully young, and I thought, is that makeup? And then afterwards, it was like a few moments where I thought, no, there's something, and for a moment I thought it was like an old CG thing. Later, after when I found out how they did it, I was like, wow, they actually did use CG to modify things, but it's actually the actors. Like it is them. So I was like, but a few moments I thought it almost looked fake. Maybe you guys can let me know if anybody out there who watched the Irishman, if you thought that the aging or de-aging process looked fake. To some moments I thought it was thing, but at the end, no, it was like amazing to see the character to go through that, those years of stories. But a lot of new interesting things in cinema happening. So interesting, and I think it's it's good that you're getting into it. And
like I said, it's always been a passion of mine. And story to me, there's so many different things that people love to get into in filmmaking because there's a you want to be a grip, You want to be anything you could be. But to me, being a director is the one thing I always wanted to strive and be. Because again, me just loving stories and loving how I could just tell a story from anything is the most beneficial thing I could do as a filmmaker.
Yeah, true. All right. Well, anyways, I think we're going to be finishing up the show. It's been an hour, so hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Again, if you guys have more questions and all the technical questions I will get to, but after the show. After the show, because right after this, actually, me and Jaylin, we're going to get back to work.
Yeah.
Gotta finish editing your film, right?
Yeah, and also, guys, follow me on Instagram. Shoot me, let me know what you think about Strays or any other of my projects, man. I always love to get feedback from people and letting people know what they feel and how they like my story. I always want my stories to be out there and touch people. Let me know what you think.
Yeah. And actually, Strays, that one's already been out in festivals,
yes,
right?
Yeah, we did the Dominican Festival about last month, and we did the New York Short Film Festival about a few weeks ago. So, yeah, we're getting, it's... Do
you have any other screenings coming up?
We're still working to hear back. You got to wait to see if we're being accepted. But, yeah, we're getting a lot of feedback. I've been blessed with Tom and my actors, Jessica Batista, Katie, they are Cineval. They were great, and even going down to my next project with the one that we have coming out next. I'm just grateful, man.
Now, do you know any idea? Like, because you're redoing the post on Strays, right? And you're gonna be like, do you know any idea like about where possibly it's gonna be distributed?
So I
Or
was
not yet?
hopefully it will be through Amazon, but we just have to wait and see.
Okay. Well, anyways, yeah, follow him on his Instagram. Again, the links are in the description. And then stay notified, sort of thing. But also, I'm gonna let you guys know because I worked on the film. So I'll be pimping it out there.
Yeah.
Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoy the show. So if you did, let me know. And for those of you who are listening on podcast, and also let me know what you think. If you have any other guests or things, people you would like me to basically have here on the show, or topics that you'd like me to talk about. Also, as always, let me know. And if you haven't already, go to my website, tomantosfilms.com. And make sure you subscribe to my newsletter. This way you're notified of this new live streams, podcasts, things like that. Anyways, that's it for the show. Bye.
Take care, guys.